We're good. My threes of followers are not going to be worried about us. We're going to be just fine.
My shirt is like really up high, so I feel like I should just clip it on my pants. Is that weird?
No, it's fine. If it picks it up, we should be fine. But we are here. We are now live. Are you ready? Are you excited?
Yeah. Super excited.
Oh, I'm not even in the shot. There we go. I gotta squinch over.
Not kick you.
Yeah, please don't. These are my nice pants. Okay. Hi, Crystal.
Hi, Mike. Should we get?
Yeah, let's get on there so we can watch for comments.
Right,
I don't know how to do that.
Oh wait, here.
Maybe if he's on. Oh no, I don't know how to work this TikTok stuff. I'm an old man now. No, that's my ugly face. Don't look at my face.
Maybe I should just get out.
There's the light. You see it? It's right there on my face.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
So we should see it. There we go. That's us. So don't look at it. You'll be distracted.
So I'll just turn the volume all the way down.
Yeah, and then we can watch for comments for anybody who wants to join in.
All right.
Perfect. Well, thanks for joining. I'm excited to have you here. Thanks. You had a great perspective of a lot of things when we talked over coffee. And you started off right off the bat with a great quote. It's not said enough to these buyers, to these renters even. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Can you expand on that? Can you give us your insight as a realtor and a property manager as well?
So just because you can afford, so according to your lender, just because you can afford a $400,000 house, can you really?
Mm-hmm.
Just because you can afford, $2,000 a month in rent, can you really?
Right.
Like whenever you're getting yourself into a situation where you're looking at buying a house or you're looking at even renting a property, you really should work backwards as far as how much can I afford? Like, do I have a car payment? Do I travel once every 6 months to go visit a family member or to go on a vacation?
Right.
Do I have a little bit of money set aside for emergencies or for if I get sick and am missing work for a few days? So just because on paper you can afford a certain amount, can you really work backwards and see what is a reasonable, comfortable amount for you to afford for a monthly mortgage payment or even for rent?
Right.
Because a lot of times, I've seen it even more so this last year. People purchase homes and then they end up having to resell them.
Right.
Whether it's 6 months later or whether it's 2 or 3 years later, they feel like they've taken on more than they should have.
Right. And it goes back to this idea of pre-qualifying and pre-approving. And I get that question a couple of times when people call. They say, hey, what can I qualify for? And I don't like actually answering that question because I don't want to set them up for that resale failure of, okay, I can qualify you. The government will let me get away with this dollar amount for you. But what's your real budget? And I like how you said, do you take a vacation once every 6 months? Or do you have, a habit or a hobby that may not be on a credit report that can take a lot of expenses? So, working backwards is a great phrase. Working backwards with your budget, looking at what you have available and deciding what that number looks like, as well as maybe saying, what things can I get rid of that I don't really need once I buy a house? Or what things am I willing to sacrifice once I'm willing to even rent a house? Now, when we were talking, it wasn't specifically just about buying houses. It was property management and renting houses. Mm-hmm. And you're even seeing people struggle with what rent's doing right now.
Yeah.
What you had a couple of examples, a couple of issues. Can you expand on any of those?
A few issues that come to my mind is, the younger generation that are just moving out. Mm-hmm. After they finish high school or even college, just getting started with life.
Right.
The income that people are making, $18 an hour, $20 an hour.
Right.
It's not enough for a mortgage payment.
Right.
It's really just not. Like, you think about the exorbitant amount that homes are costing currently. Mm-hmm. And then the insurance and everything else that comes into play, your car insurance, life expenses. You get sick, your pet gets sick, you want to plant a garden. It's just not feasible.
Right.
And also older people, that have worked their whole life, but now they're on a fixed income, Social
Right.
Security,
Or
VA benefits.
or a pension that hasn't
Pension.
changed in 10, 15 years.
Yeah, or even if it has changed, they got like an $80 increase last year or whatever it was. Well, odds are your rent probably has gone up way more than $80 in the last 5 to 8 years,
Right.
With the cost of everything rising. And so younger people just getting started, or people in general just getting started, if they, had something else going on in their lives, they're just getting started. If unless you have a bachelor's or a master's degree and you're going into engineering or nursing
Right.
or something like that, where you've had the opportunity to set a little nest egg aside to get started.
Sure.
Many people didn't do that. And so you're fresh out of high school or you're retired and you're on basically low income.
Right.
It's not enough.
Yeah.
Even for a rental, a lot of times it's not enough. These people are struggling, having to have roommates or let go of their lease and not knowing where they're going, young and old alike.
Yeah.
That has happened in the recent months. And people just tell us, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I can't afford my rent anymore.
And you had mentioned in two different scenarios, it is attached to almost like mental health. You had one example where a person, they changed jobs to better themselves, better their mental health,
right.
But that came with lower pay, and that ended up not being helpful to them being able to afford their rent.
Right. So
now they have the strain and the stress and the anxiety of, where am I going to live now?
Right.
What am I going to do? And then you had mentioned some others, they're struggling with just getting on their feet and getting moving, and there's no affordable housing for them.
Right.
And I mean, we went all across the board on affordable housing as a conversation. There's just not enough as far as a true description of affordable housing. And I mean, we jumped all over the place, so we may jump over a lot. It had mentioned, they didn't set aside a nest egg because they couldn't. Life was expensive, so people start to lean on the down payment assistance programs.
Right.
We have a big one that a lot of people push here in New Mexico. That it seems good, but you're to a degree, you're like, as long as it's a last resort. Why do you feel that way?
So these loan assistance programs that help, I mean, absolutely, it's wonderful if you need it, and you can be strict with your budget and pay that secondary loan off as quickly as possible. And when I say as quickly as possible, I mean like within a year or two, because that's going to end up costing you a couple $100 extra a month that you
may not have had in the first place.
You may not have had in the first place.
Right.
Yeah. And so you use these they are great programs, and I'm not saying that they're not, but usually the interest rate is substantially higher. We're talking about like what, 6 to 10%?
Yeah, I've seen 7% on some of the details. And that's on I think the 30-year for some of them. And then that's just the state version. There's national versions out there as well. And they're upwards of 2 points higher than your interest rate you get. So if you're already starting out with a 6%, you jump into the 8s on a 15-year mortgage.
Right.
And it's not actually a grant. It's not free money. It's a second mortgage
that you have to pay back. So what I'm seeing is people that are using this secondary loan to help them get into a home, and they don't pay that loan off, and they end up paying for it for the life of the loan. So essentially you're borrowing $12,000, $15,000, $20,000, and you're paying for it for the life of your loan.
Right.
And that end up costing you a lot of money.
Right.
Probably money you never should have had. You never had in the first place, and that couple $100 that could potentially not be being spent had you just been able to somehow save money before you purchased a house, whether it's, saving your income taxes for a couple of years, that's a good option to look at versus getting that secondary loan. Because for a lot of people, $100 a month, $200 a month is a big deal. Like that's groceries every month, you know? So the program is great, and I'm really glad that it's available, but it's just, for me, I would, I would think that it would be a last resort, especially now, if the cost of everything is just so expensive. If
Right.
you could just save your income taxes for a couple of years, or, just even if it's $20 a paycheck, just, save it,
Yeah.
save it until you have enough to help with your closing costs.
Well, and we had discussed as well getting creative with saving and finding a budget. It's almost like we have to kind of move the goalpost where, at 18, there's this idea, the stigma of move out, right? Move out, go
Right.
find your place, be on your own. Financially, right now, that's horrible to deal with. And it does add to that mental illness strain we were talking about, where it's just like, I can't handle all of this. And we discussed different options like having a roommate, which isn't always the most dependable,
Yeah.
right? Because people's life journey is at a different pace.
Right.
We had talked about maybe a kid staying home longer with family.
Yeah.
And, having an understanding possibly.
Right.
You had talked about your family a little bit and how you had that as a plan. And you're looking at it going, you can maybe pitch in with a couple of the bills,
Right.
maybe pay a partial rent just to help out.
Yeah.
But as a parent, you're like, cool, we're going to put some of that rent away for them so they can adjust their budget naturally. And then as they find that career, find that job,
Right.
they all of a sudden have this nest egg that was saved for them,
Right.
even though they practiced and they budgeted on that budget
Yep.
or on that expense as if they had a rent.
Yes.
So, we kind of need to change the culture of it all. It's probably
Right,
what we're dealing with.
And in our current culture, it is common for kids to just be done when they're done with high school. They
Right.
move out, they go to college, they never come back home. But it didn't used to be like that.
Sure.
Like families would stay, together for a long time, or you'd have different multi-generations living under the same roof,
Right.
just for, cost of living purposes,
Right.
practicality purposes. And I don't know how other people feel, but that is something that we do in our home because it's just not practical. So I charge my daughter rent.
Mhm.
A lot of people might think that that's taboo, but she pays her own bills, her car insurance, her cell phone. She buys herself her own groceries of whatever she wants, and I charge her rent. But her rent money goes into a savings account for her,
Okay.
so that whenever she has enough money saved,
Right.
or if whatever she decides she wants to do, then she can go do it.
Mhm.
She can go buy a house, she can go move away, whatever she wants to do. At least she'll have something built up for her so that she'll have enough money for a down payment on a house or to move away or
Sure.
whatever she chooses.
She has that nest egg to live on and,
Right.
and try to get out on her own
Right.
without going right into debt to
Right,
try
which
to
is
get
also
in.
something that I heavily discouraged. I didn't want her to get student loans when
Mhm.
she went away to college. We, pitched in everything that we could
Mhm.
to help her with her books.
Right.
She did have a part-time job when she was in college, just for, spending money.
Sure.
And gas money, whatever. She felt like she wanted to go somewhere and do something. But we didn't do any student loans. We paid for books, school supplies, everything else that she needed, food. We paid for all of that out of pocket just because I did not want her to start life in debt.
Yeah.
I just think that it's a poor decision.
Right. And we have to change the stigma of growing up and moving on your own and
Right.
what it's going to take. And you had mentioned there, you have 40-year-old renters that are just now maybe paying off their debt.
Yeah.
And these are prominent individuals with decent jobs,
Right.
and they're 40 years old.
Still paying
Years.
student loans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these aren't maybe master's degrees. These are just bachelor degrees with
Yeah.
certifications, doing well, but that cost of education just
Right.
put them back.
Anything that you can do to avoid additional debt in your life
Mhm.
to help you secure a home
Mhm.
or to be comfortable living, I think is the best route
Right.
to go. And then, like I said, if you can save $25 a paycheck and just save it, set
Sure.
it aside, and at some point, whenever you're financially able, then buy a house and you have a little bit of money to help
Right.
you move or to help with your closing costs or whatever it is that you need that money for.
Right. Well, even then, we get to that savings, and then they get out into this market, and it's just house prices are so
The
elevated.
savings isn't enough.
You're like, I saved so much. I was able to do this. And now you look at it and it's almost like a drop in the bucket.
I saved enough to buy a new sofa.
Where am I going to put it? Right on the curb, where it looks good. The idea of getting creative with purchasing, we had touched off of renovation loans.
Mm-hmm.
The government has one, FHA has one called a 203K. The conventional financing, they have some other programs, but it is kind of changing the way we look at houses. The issue that we're running into is even the houses that maybe fixer-upper status or in a rough shape, they're even overpriced.
They are, yeah. In my opinion, yes, they are.
Sure.
But we are going to have to start thinking of more clever ways for our buyers that are just not quite there. Like they can't afford a $300,000 mortgage payment, because it's just not in their budget.
Right.
It's just not there.
Right.
We're going to start having to be more clever. And I think that buyers are going to rely on realtors and lenders to have a good working relationship, because I'm going to go to the lender and just be like, okay, well, so $130,000 to get approved for a loan, like, well, that narrows it down to about 5 properties in San Juan County right now.
None of them have a home on it. It's all raw land.
Yeah. What can we do to help this individual? What can we do to get there? Like, we're going to have to start being a little more clever with how we can help these people.
Right.
Because then they're in the same boat. This is how much they can afford. So how much can they afford in rent?
Yep.
That's also lacking too. Affordable housing in our area is not affordable.
Right. We were looking over numbers, and I confirmed with a couple other people, it's $250 a square foot, and that turns a less than 1,000 square foot home into 280,000 once you start considering land and other amenities.
Right.
So that $280,000 purchase price in our area, it's not affordable housing. And it's lacking, and we're trying to figure out some ways to make it happen. Now, we had kind of touched on this in a couple of different ways, because we've got people not able to afford the houses, so they're starting to go into foreclosure because they just can't make the payment.
Yeah.
Are foreclosures something we can focus on? I know we didn't maybe write it down, but I mean, is a foreclosure market something to bank on? What do you think?
I mean, it's something, but I honestly thought we would see a lot more foreclosures a couple of years ago, after the housing sales during COVID kind of just went wild. It just blew up. So I know that a lot of people were struggling, not working from home. So I really thought we would have seen a lot more foreclosures come available, and they've been trickling in slowly but surely. But even those, they're overpriced, but I think that is a good option, of something that maybe we can start looking into for people for more affordable housing, and then possibly incorporating the 203K loan.
Right. All those renovation products.
For renovations to get those houses into FHA standards.
Okay.
Because if we have some foreclosures that are just not quite there, but the renovation loans could help them.
Right.
And it's in a lower budget, hopefully. Not all foreclosures are. Some of them are crazy expensive too. And I'm like, what in the world is going on?
This is not what foreclosures used to be called. They were less expensive. They were an option.
Right.
People would look at it and say, I could fix this up. I could make it happen. Now they look at it, that price is a foreclosure, and it's in this shape. It's getting interesting. Now, some of the foreclosures you had mentioned, you talked about these individuals had gotten into it without really looking at their budget and affording it. And one of the phrases that came up was, you buy the home, you marry the home, but you date the rate. And that comes from the idea that they were hoping that those high interest rates that were out there were going to come down later, and then they could always refinance later. And in fact, the opposite has happened. Well, I would say they cool down, but not enough to make a difference. And then we're actually seeing them kind of fluctuate up and down, very close to what they have been in the last 3 years. So it does go back to, in the long term, looking at, because those are what, 2-year-old, 3-year-old, they've been in there for a couple 3 years, and just now they're starting to get foreclosed on. So going back to your original starting point, if you're thinking you can handle it, you're not thinking far enough into the future on what that's going to do for you.
Right.
So it's all circling back.
It is, yeah.
Making it rough. Any other thoughts? Any other ideas?
Gosh, I don't even know. I mean, you know, while things are the way that they are, I would just encourage people to try your best to save money.
Okay.
Whether it's your income taxes or part of your income taxes,
Okay.
or $25 a paycheck, $50 a paycheck, whatever you can afford, you know, put it into your savings account. Someday, maybe, you know, if you need it, whether it's for a sickness or to buy a property or anything. But the way that things are, prices don't really seem like they're going to be coming back down anytime soon.
And we haven't had the income to come up to it to be able to meet the cost of living. I mean, we were talking about the fixed income individuals. We've got people on Social Security, pensions. We have veterans with their disability or pension income. And those numbers aren't coming up to match. I mean, they get an adjustment, but it's not enough. It's not there.
It's not enough. They do get an adjustment, but it doesn't even compensate for groceries. Like groceries have gone up so much that, you know, the compensation that they're getting for their pensions and their Social Security and stuff, it's like, you might as well just open the window because it just goes right out the window, you know?
Like I get more substance out of fresh air.
Right.
And then we had kind of jumped into, you know, affordable housing programs, and you had mentioned Section 8 as a government program that can help people get into it. That list is just years long, I think, is what I heard.
2 years. 2 years is the average length of waiting time for an individual. So if you were to go and sign up for it today, they'll tell you it's about a 2-year wait. And of course, things change. And people don't need it. People's circumstances change. But on average, I believe that's what they're telling people. 2 years.
Okay. So it really is, when it comes to housing in general, whether it be rent or mortgages, you know, buying property, it's a long-term plan that you have to plan for way in advance.
It is.
We can't just assume something's going to happen. And that's going to take probably a community of people. It takes your family that may set you up, or you find those individuals similar in your circle of friends, and you guys maybe work on a plan and try to get there.
Yeah.
So interesting. Well, any other thoughts? We can go to the comments. I didn't see anything come through as we're monitoring. But yeah, nothing there. Anything else you would add to that? Any other ideas, thoughts, concerns before we maybe shut her down?
There's a huge need for affordable housing.
Okay.
So, you know, and when I say affordable, I mean affordable for elderly people that are on fixed income, young people that are just starting out.
Right.
So, affordable, like, you know, $1,100, $1,200, $1,500 a month affordable.
Wow.
Yeah.
And even then, because I'll get those calls from customers, and I'll ask them, well, what are you paying in rent right now?
Right.
Well, you know, I'm paying $900 in rent, and I want to keep my payment at that. And I do the quick math in my head. That just doesn't exist in general on any type of property. So we are needing a lot more new homes built that can meet that need. There is some programs in New Mexico. I don't think they're as published to try to get builders to help out. But the cost of materials is so much. We've got the war in Iran that's causing gas prices to change, which that's a trickle down effect to all the materials. And then, you know, cost of labor, right? We have just paying dependable laborers to build a house. And those costs naturally have gone up as well. So it's creating a hurdle in that affordable housing, and we do need it.
And I don't mean to discourage anybody from buying a house. So if that's your dream, if it's something that you've ever even considered or thought about, which I feel like everybody should, regardless of your age or your walk of life or how much money you do or don't have. If it's something that's ever crossed anybody's mind, I feel like they really, really need to reach out to a realtor, reach out to a lender, just so that they can be educated and guided on what can I do? What do I need to do? What do I need to accomplish to get there? Because that's always the first step. And everybody should own a home. You know, it's
Right.
your comfortability space, a place to call your own,
Right.
a place to make it your own. Like everybody needs a comfortable space to be in. And so I do, even though things are a little wild right now and up
Sure.
in the air, I really encourage people to still reach out to make a plan.
Right.
What can you do to get there, and how can we help you get there?
Sure. Get a plan figured out. I mean, it doesn't have to be right now. It could be 2 years, 3 years down the road.
I mean, when I was younger, I dug myself into a hole. That was a dumb thing to do, but I mean, we've all been there,
Sure.
right? Or most of us at some point. So I spent probably 6 years.
Okay.
And I would take half of my income taxes every year and pay off some of my debt.
Okay.
You know, and unfortunately, like I wasn't in a position to do all of my income taxes. I still had to live. I had to take care of my kid, you know, all the fun things that life brings.
Right.
But I worked hard to pay off the pickle that I put myself in. But I did it, you know, I did it, and it took a lot longer than I wanted it to, but I did accomplish it.
Sure.
And I'm beyond grateful that I did, because that was a good place to start.
Right. Perfect. That's great. I think that's a great place to end it. I mean, it's possible. You stick to it. You're a great example of it. You spent 6 years grinding it out, and you probably maybe had a 3-year, 4-year plan, and you maybe got to those milestones and was like, I'm still going to do this.
Yeah.
May not have been happy about it.
It was very discouraging at some points, but you know, like I did that to myself, so I had to fix it.
Sure. I like it. That's great. Well, didn't see any more comments come through. I'll go check my feed just in case, but I think we're going to wrap it up there. No comments just yet. So I think we're good. If I miss a comment, I will reach out to you individually there, but I think we're good. Appreciate it all. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.